Hello and welcome to Judy's Creations in Crochet. And today is February the 2nd, 2023. And I'm so excited to have you back with me. And I was so excited about getting to the 1st of February to reveal my new inspiration picture for the month and to show all of the items that my viewers sent in that I almost forgot that Kiki needed a change of outfit for this new month of February. Hello to everybody, both new and returning viewers. If you are new, I hope you enjoy what you see, and please remember to subscribe, hit that bell to get all notifications. And from everybody, I appreciate thumbs up, and most importantly, I appreciate your comments. I love to hear what you have to say. I love to find out what you are doing, where you are from, what you think of what I am showing you. And I respond to every single one. And I'm coming to you from southwestern Ontario, the southernmost tip of Canada. And we're having some pretty chilly winter weather here right now. There's even some snow on the ground. So, first of all, I want to say I'm glad you're back again today after getting a video from me yesterday. And I realized when I looked at it when I was done that I left out a few important things. So I just want to do an update on the February cow. But first, I'm going to turn the heater off. Not quite as cold down here today as usual. The first thing that I realized I neglected to do was when I showed you the yarn I'm going to use, and the first yarn was this one, and I told you all about it. But I said that I was probably going to use do a second project with some other yarn that I had that I thought worked, and that was this yarn. And I didn't tell you a thing about it. So I'm going to tell you about this yarn today. Yes, Expression Fiber Arts, I say EFA mostly. And we're going to talk about them a little later in this podcast. This color is actually called Petunia, although I'm going to use it for my violets. And it is a pearlescent fingering. When I first started using their yarn, this is the yarn that I got and used it quite a bit. It's lovely yarn. It is 50% merino and 50% mulberry silk, which gives it a beautiful silky feel, and it gives it a sheen. And there's actually 550 yards, 500 meters in one of these 100-gram skeins. So it's quite a great amount to make something. And since I will have two of them, I'll have quite a bit of yarn to make a good size shawl. So I just wanted to show you that and tell you what I forgot to tell you yesterday. A couple of other things I wanted to mention, because somebody said they didn't think they had both those colors in their stash. You do not have to use both colors. You can pick out any color you wish. You can use one color, two colors. In the last one, I used 4 colors. Sometimes there aren't 4 colors in the picture, but you do not have to use all the colors in the picture. Whatever you have that goes with any color in the picture is fine. And although I call it a cal in most places, C-A-L, you can crochet, you can knit, you can weave if you weave. Are there other fiber crafts I'm missing? You know, I would even take, if you are a yarn dyer and like to dye yarn, and you've dyed a skein of yarn in the colors that match the picture and want to show us that, I take that as well. Anything that is related to the fiber craft world. And while I'm talking about the different crafts, I said that the shawl I got from Debbie was the only knitted item, all the rest were crochet. But on a second look, I'm almost sure that the hat that Hannah sent in was also knitted. And I'm happy to get whatever craft you want to send me something. And I was so happy to get 10, and I'm hoping I get more. Maybe I'll shoot for 12 next month. So wanted to make sure you understood any of the colors. Don't need to have all of the colors. And while I'm on it, I also meant to tell you yesterday that I always put up a project page in Ravelry. I'll talk more about Ravelry later. And on the January project page, I now have the picture of the finished project on the page instead of the inspiration picture. It's there if you open it up. But I have uploaded the picture of the violets, and you'll see it there as the opening picture for the project page. So I try to keep the, I put up the inspiration picture on the video, and I put it full screen long enough that you can get a screen picture if you know how. But if you don't and you haven't, I have put a picture on Ravelry. You can go back anytime and take another look at it. Do that every month. So anyway, I hope there are lots of you getting inspired to do another item for February. So moving on to regular business. I don't have a lot of finished objects to show today. So I went back stash diving in my stash of finished objects. And we have Hope here. We have Hope here wearing an item I made a while back. I'll take it off so you can see it better. It's an asymmetrical triangle in a very basic, I don't have a name of a pattern. It's a very basic asymmetrical triangle. Starts here and gets wider, and it looks to me like you get 2 rows of double crochets and then a row of open, which is, double crochet, chain 1, skip 1, and continue on across. And that's it. And this is the finished project. A variegated, multicolored, mostly brown tones. It feels a little bit heavier than fingering weight, but definitely not a DK. So it might be a sport weight. It might even be, let me just say what it's made out of. Superwash merino and fine merino and Donegal. So I have to guess it might be one of the twisted tweeds from EFA, but I have a feeling it's more likely just a yarn that I ordered from a company and felt like using it. I can't tell you much more about it. So that's something that's in my stash. And I think next week I may make a comment about items in my stash and on my Facebook page. So that's a finished object that I have. Now, I did work on another thing I'll show you in a minute, but if you remember last week I showed this finished object. I'll bring it out in a minute. And that is what led me to this week's discussion, because I did say that every so often, maybe once a month, once every 6 weeks, I am going to feature a yarn from Expression Fiber Arts. Somebody said that would be a good thing you would like to know about, given that I have this wall of EFA yarn. I have more than what's back here because I like to keep them separated by type of yarn. So I have a couple of bins over here, and I have a couple of those cubes in the next room. So I have lots of EFA yarn, and I can tell you about it. So this week, I'm going to feature the EFA yarn that is called Mirage Sport. And there's Mirage Sport in this, which we'll look at in a minute. And because I just did it, that's what led me to feature that one this week. So first of all, I just wanted to show you some of the variety that it comes in. Lots of different colors. And here's more. And I'll show you another one in a minute. So Mirage Sport is a very, very luxurious feeling yarn. And sport, let me get up close. Sport weight is just slightly thicker than fingering. Sometimes there's not a lot of difference because, you know, there's variety in fingering. If I were to show you this fingering over here, that is pearlescent fingering. See, very small difference. But some fingerings have sincere fingering, I think is even thicker, plumper than this, and some are thinner. There's no exact to this industry, but it does have a little bit of bulk to it because it does have less yardage in 100 grams. So I'll give you the information. I wore the wrong glasses today. It has 70% merino, but it's the rest of it that I like. It has 10% camel, baby camel. It has 10% cashmere, and it has 10% mulberry silk. So camel, cashmere, mulberry silk, those are all very luxurious yarns, fibers. And there are 320 meters, 350 yards. And like I said, it comes in tonals, variegateds. I've never seen any flex. There's a fairly solid one. This one is solid. This is a little more tonal. See the light and the dark. And this is sort of a gradient type color. But feels absolutely lovely. Now, here is the one item that I finished. I want to have made items in the yarn I'm talking about. Otherwise, there's no point talking about it. And the black and the gray are both Mirage Sport. And it's too bad there isn't field of vision here. I don't know if it's obvious when you look at it, but this is a little thicker than this, just slightly. When you feel it, it feels plumper than this. This is, you know, minis that I have that are just merino nylon blend with the stellina in it, but you can feel the difference. First of all, in the way it's plied. This is very twisted. This has, I hope you can see it. It has a looser twist than some. I don't know how well you can tell by looking at this. It is a little bit looser twist. That I almost worried that there would be some splitting. When I was working on this item, there was a little bit of tendency to split. Can you see the openness of that twist? And I was a little worried that if I was doing something major, there would be more splitting. But honestly, I just want to get some of this yarn out of my way. I made another item, and you might, I think I showed what I was going to do. The pattern is called Roses and Thorns can't remember the designer right now. And I used that gray again, and I used this yarn. And this is the item I'm making. So it's 100% Mirage Sport. And I never had any problems with twisting, with splitting when I was using it. Now, it's not done. You start here at this point, and it works out getting wider and wider like a shawl. And it's just, that's one thing I didn't like about this pattern is single crochets. Single crochets seems to take forever. But I have to tell you, it's so soft and your hook slides in it so nicely that it really is a joy to work with. And think about it, having camel and silk and what was the other thing? Cashmere working through your hands. It is heavenly. So this is a variegated color. You can see how it looks when you're working with it. And then the gray is in between, and the gray that's the only row that has some double crochets to get a bit of a lacy look. And so it builds out until you get, I forget how many rows. I think I did a few less than they said. And then you go along one side of it. And right now I'm going to flash a picture right here showing you the shape. And so you do the A section first, and then you do B along the far side. So it's supposed to still look like a shawl when you're done. Mine is curling so badly, it's kind of hard to show you, but you alternate, you do the opposite. Now the gray becomes the dominant color, and the variegated becomes the secondary color. And you decrease on this one side up to the point. And I have to tell you, I modified this pattern because there are along here, when you pick up the stitches on the edge of the first triangle, I had almost 100 stitches. I don't know, 97 or 98, something like that. But anyway, I just use 100 for what I'm saying. Almost 100 stitches, and it tells you, it's all single crochet, that you decrease on this side 1 stitch every other row. That meant I was going to have to do 200 rows. Now I know they were going to get narrower near the end, but still 200 rows. It would be quite long. Also, my yarn was running out here. I mean, I have another skein, so I won't be in trouble. But I didn't think I had enough gray in the one skein to do that many rows. I still have a ways to go. So I'm this far. Again, like I said, it's very nice yarn to work with. And to finish this off, when we're all done, you go around the whole thing with one row of gray. I hope I can. If not, I won't. And then you do one last row of, it's all single stitches, of this color, but you put picots in it every so often. So that is not going to look exactly the way it is, because I will have a smaller tail, but it's still going to be, because you can see how long this is, it's still going to be big enough to wear around the neck as a really nice wrap, and it'll be very cozy. This is really nice yarn. I think what I'm going to do is rate all of the yarns, let's say on a scale of 1 to 5, that's enough. And I would put this at least a 4.5. I really would. It feels so nice. It is good to work with. It doesn't split like I thought. It has a little less yarn. When there's a little less yardage, I can't do a number of those one skein patterns that I love to do. But it is a beautiful yarn. Now I will probably finish this possibly tonight or tomorrow morning, and I will block it and show you how it turns out next week as one of my finished objects. Um, the gray doesn't show as much as I had hoped, but I'm still happy with the way these look together. So that's what I have to tell you about Mirage. I think the one major negative, it's not a terrible negative, but if you look at yarns, and I will link this yarn on EFA in the description box below. If you look at their yarns, this is one of their ones that's slightly more pricey. But, I mean, you're getting camel, silk, and cashmere in it, not just, merino nylon. So, but lovely to work with. So I hope that is helpful or informative to tell you about one of the yarns that I use on EFA. And I will show you more in the future, and I will do one or two yarns that I'm not really happy with as well. I will do that. But for the start, I'm going to do yarns I've used a fair bit of and like. Okay, so that is our information day on EFA yarn, Mirage Silk. Okay, let me just put this aside. Now, today I'm going to show you a yarn acquisition, and I have quite a few of them. If I were to turn this picture around, you'd see the table behind this iPad totally full with yarn. But I'm going to take the one closest to me, and it is probably my most recent acquisition. As you know, I said I am pulling back on purchasing yarn because I have so much yarn. I need to get to it and use it. And the last thing I need is more yarn, and I went and cleaned out some bins and I made space for what's on the table, but I am running out of space. Even though I live in a good size house, that's enough. So I made a purchase from Ravenswood early January, and the reason I made this purchase is that I think it was the first time I saw her with a number of tweeds, and recently I have really come to be drawn to tweeds. So first of all, here is her information. And again, I have linked her, and I will link her again many times to their site. They have a very interesting story. They have a very interesting farm she talks about. I hope you are on her mailing list. Oh, before I forget, be sure to get on the mailing list for EFA. Even if you never buy their yarns because you think that hand-dyed yarn is too much, too expensive, it is worthwhile to be on their mailing list because every single Friday they release a free pattern. Last week they released a knitting pattern. Tomorrow they're going to release a crochet pattern. They have lovely patterns, and when they release the pattern on Friday, it's free for, I don't know, a week, 10 days. I've never stopped to look how long they are free, but they are available for free for a decent period of time before they become a paid pattern. So you can get an extensive library of free patterns. Also, once a month, they do a giveaway, and that giveaway has 27, 28 skeins of yarn. And you can participate just by putting in your email address, and they send you a $10 coupon. So if you wanted to try something of theirs, you would get $10 off. So worth getting on their email list. Sorry, back to Ravenswood. So I bought these two colors. Whoops, we got a problem happening here. I bought these two colors, two of each. I'll pull up the other one. It's not coming apart. And see the tweed, and see the tweed. Now, I bought these, I wouldn't have bought so much, except that I bought them with the intent that I would like to make a sweater. I thought these would be nice together. I thought I would do a top-down sweater and do probably the top part in the blue. It's almost a denim-y color. And I'll give you the specs in a minute. And then I would do a little bit of alternating partway through, back and forth. And then I would finish it off with this creamy oatmeal color, thinking that this would be a good color next to any pair of pants. And blue is usually a good color next to my skin or my face. And I was very excited. Now, they did have other colors. I remember one was a light green. I don't remember what other colors, maybe a pink. Anyway, they had a couple of other colors. But as soon as I opened them, I realized I had made a major gaffe. Can you see the difference? Well, let me read you the information. First of all, this is called Christmas plums. Not too sure that plums are that color, but anyway, this is a percentage. I think it's 85-15 merino and nylon superwash 400 meters. This is same thing. It's called Behind the Lace 85-15 merino nylon 225 meters. What does that tell you right off the bat? Well, it told me without even reading that, by feeling it, this is fingering, this is DK. I was so disappointed. I mean, they're lovely yarns. They feel good. I love them. I would make something with them. Can I still put them together being that different in weight? Let me show you a strand of each. They do feel different. Do they look that different? This is definitely heavier, but is it that much heavier? What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Would you still make a top and put the two of these together? Would you put the heavier one at top and lighter one at the bottom, or go with my original plan? I don't know. I'm torn. I like the colors. I like the tweed. It feels nice. I don't know. So I really would like to hear, what would you do? So that is the first thing that I got from Ravenswood. And then I got one other skein of yarn. The tweed isn't quite as soft as the regular yarn. So I got this other skein of yarn, and it is called Caps. And it's their usual 85-15 blend of merino and nylon, 400 yards, fingering weight. Some lovely colors in there. And if I wanted to combine it, I mean, there's a beautiful rose pink I could put with it. I could put a really nice aqua, teal, turquoise, whatever you call that. It even has several shades of brown and beige and cream. I'm not too fussy on that, but it's not heavy in the yarn. So gorgeous. Will I make a one skein item, or will I put it together with a solid? I'm not sure, but I am really happy with this, and it is nice and soft. So that's an acquisition for this week. Now, you're going to see that I'm going to cut this a bit short because you already had a video yesterday, so I don't need to do my usual long video today. I just want to show you one last thing. I am also working on another project. Remember, I said I don't usually work back and forth between two things, But during this cal season, I did show you the hand-dyed yarns that I'm going to use to make the Venture shawl. So it is an asymmetrical triangle, starts small, gets wider. It's already getting a good size, but the rows will become fewer as I get wider. So we'll see. I may end up cutting out one or two of the colors that I originally showed you. I'm going to put in the picture again of the yarn I'm using for this. It was the Bramble Ridge Advent calendar that I got this past December. And I'm really happy with how this is turning out so far. It uses half double crochets, and I will admit that it uses a modified half double crochet, and I'm just doing a regular double crochet. But I'm happy with it so far, and when I finish this project that I'm working on right now, because I'll be done it within a day, I'm going to go back to this. I did submit my picture for last week, and no, I think I already did submit my picture for this week, and I'm going to do at least 3, if not 4 more sections on it and submit my picture for next week. So that's what I'm working on. It's the cowl with Melissa Fisher. This is her pattern, and it's woods and wool. And again, I will link to her blog so that you can see about the cowl. It's not too late. And I'll link to her pattern on Ravelry as well. So that's a cowl I'm working on. And next week, I'll probably start another cowl that I've already submitted a picture for. So talking about this being on Ravelry, I just want to remind you of what is happening next week. If you'll have to excuse me for a second. I think there's fluff or something floating in the air, and I felt it in my throat. You asked or said that you would be very interested in some tutorials about Ravelry. So I've decided that I think I can divide it into 3 main sections and do a little bit, I don't know, 10 to 15 minutes, 3 weeks in a row, showing you parts of Ravelry. I thought that would be better than doing a whole segment of 40 or 45 minutes. It'd be too much to take in at once. So I'm going to show you next week, the main things that you would do on Ravelry, searching for patterns and what things are on the home screen and that. The second week, I will talk about project pages in Ravelry. And the third, I'll talk about the Ravelry community. So I want to strongly suggest, you need to have a Ravelry account. I did mention that last week. And if you had it before, next week would be really great, because what I'm going to suggest is this. If it's at all possible, tune in to me next week and have the device you like to watch me on, or if you need to get your desktop out and watch me on your desktop or your laptop, and have another device like an iPad or your phone or whatever that's easy to hold while you're watching me, because I think it'll be better for you to actually be doing what I show you. You'll remember it better than if I just talk at you for 10 or 15 minutes and then you have to go away and remember. I think if I'm going to have my other iPad and I'm going to have it right up here, it's the only way I can do it, and I'm going to go through various steps and show you. And if you could go through those same steps with me, would be very beneficial. If you can listen for 10 or 15 minutes and remember and later go away and do it, or if you want to listen and make notes of what I say and do it later because you can't watch me with a second device in hand, that's fine. You do it however it works for you. But if you want to get the most out of it, I suggest you have another device that you can do it while I'm talking. And so you're going to be watching me on one thing, and on the other device, be at least at the Ravelry homepage or ready to sign in, whatever, something so that you can then start playing on Ravelry while I explain it. So that's what's the plan for next week. And I'll have another yarn acquisition to show you. And definitely I'll have one FO. And maybe if we're lucky, I'll finally get a second FO. So look forward to seeing you all back again next week. And in the meantime, happy hooking.